This review contains spoilers. Floki and Ploki are at the end of time. They enter the building. Holoclock talks to them. They meet Apple Guy. Ploki and Floki have a disagreement. They settle it with a fight. Floki wins and throws Ploki into the TVA and kills Apple Guy. Let's jump into the review, shall we? Let us start with something positive. This place looks awesome, at least from the outside. The colors, the building with the light in the tower, I like it. What I don't like is that everything looks so freaking green screen. It is like in the prequel Star Wars movies. You see it so much that the actors stand in front of a green screen. After Floki and Ploki enter the Citadel, Holoclock tells that Apple Guy is impressed that they made it this far. But he later states that he made this happen so that they come to this place. He made the road they are going on, so why should he be impressed by this? Boss Judge is going through files and she waited for Holoclock to show up. She wanted to download something but couldn't because Holoclock wasn't around? What is Holoclock? I thought of her as an artificial being. Does she has to be around so you can download stuff? This seems to be not very efficient. Boss Judge tells Holoclock that this isn't what she asked for. Holoclock then responds that she knows that, but he thinks that this will be more useful and vanishes. She's, as the boss judge, not able to call the clock back and to ask what's going on? Or is this a normal behavior of Holoclock? I thought it would be cool if Holoclock would be the mastermind and the main villain. At the end is another statue in the TVA, and instead of the Apple Guy, it was Holoclock all along. That would be fun, I guess. The inside looks the same as the outside, which makes it for me, from a stylistic point of view, a bit boring. And I think that the colored things on the wall and the floor should be like rifts or cracks or something. But it looks like an alien just everywhere and someone is using UV light to see it all. Then we get to know the mastermind behind this. And I hate the Apple Guy. He bites into a freaking apple and speaks with his freaking full mouth. If you have to say something, don't put food in your freaking mouth. That drives me so mad. What is interesting though is when he says that the two are the same person and adds that this is a little bit unnatural. We come to this a little bit later. Mobius is back at the TVA and talks with Boss Judge and tells her that they know her secret. In the meantime, Speedy is in a school. She hides. Kind of. It is hard to believe that nobody sees her. So, 4 people hunt her. The one guy then gives the order that all 3 shall secure the perimeter and that he got her. This is so stupid, and I don't even start to question how Mobius got Speedy out of the place she was imprisoned in. I mean, Boss Judge proved that Mobius cannot fight, so how did he pass the 4 guards who stood outside the room and inside the room? Anyways, the one guy goes after Speedy alone. Speedy goes into a room and is like, "Hey dude, you need to listen to me." And he's like, "There will be a time for that." She then is, "Dude, just wait." Yeah? And then not Boss Judge enters the room and guy says, "Boss Judge?" But not Boss Judge is like, "What the hell are you doing in my freaking school?" Speedy tells Guy that this isn't Boss Judge and he's like, "How?" And she's like, "Dude, I'm explaining it to you." they treat this as a revelation, but we knew this already. And you can say that this is for the characters in the show, but I would say fair enough. But why him? We saw him twice maybe. Mobius and Boss Judge are still talking until Mobius has enough and wants to prune Boss Judge, but she kicks him and leaves the place through the teledaughter. Do you get it? Teledaughter, teleporter. This makes a door who teleports. Where's she going? Nobody knows. I mean, she says after Mobius asks her where she is going, that she is going in search of free will, which is pretty stupid answer if I think about it. Floki and Bloki are now talking to Apple Guy. Bloki says, "You lost. We won." And Apple Guy tells him, "Duh, of course you did." Because he saw all of this. Then he explains further that every step they took to get here, he paved the road and they just walked down there. So this is why he wouldn't be impressed by it. He made this all happen, which of course means again that every decision they made was predetermined and not really an act of free will. We then get an exposition dump from Apple Guy. He was a scientist in the 31st century and he found out about the timelines, yada yada yada. Other versions of him did the same, yada yada yada. Multiverse war, yada yada yada. They don't show it like, real people. They make some cheap Black Panther introduction scene, with the medal from Black Panther, which makes the figures and something like this. It uses kind of the same style and very small and very boring and dull. He then explains that he encountered the smoke monster and he weaponized the smoke monster and ended with it the multiversal war. Apple Guy then says that Bloki and Floki came to kill the devil. He then adds that he keeps him safe and if they think he is evil, then they shall wait until they meet his variants. It wouldn't be impossible that variants of him hide somewhere since they have the knowledge of the multiverse stuff and even Loki survived in the void. But why aren't they doing anything now? Why do they not try to reach him? If Bloki and Floki can pass the smoke monster, why not his variants, who he says are extremely dangerous? I think he says this, I'm not sure now. He tells us that there are only two options. The first is they kill him and they have to deal with an infinite amount of Apple Guys, or they run the thing. What is with the option of doing nothing? He's tired of all of this. What would have happened if Bloki and Floki turn around and go away, or tell Doctor Strange about this? In this episode and in the episode before, Floki was called out of being a hypocrite. Now the Apple Guy, and in the previous episode it was Mobius in the car, which is totally true and kind of surprising if you compare it with the end of WandaVision. Why do they have to deal with an infinite amount of versions of him and a multiversal war? There is a point where it zooms in on Apple Guy and we hear a thunder. He then says that they just crossed the threshold. He then says that he lied, he knew everything until now. And we see how the timeline is branching. Why now? Why is this different from what Floki did in episode 2 when she bombed the timeline? The TVA can still prune the branches. Floki then asks the Apple Guy if he is serious with letting him and her decide what will be his fate. Apple Guy then asks what is the worst that can happen. They take over and continue with his work, or they kill him and an infinite amount of him start another multiversal war, and he ends up right here again. If this is true, what he is saying, he literally loses nothing, and even the actions of Loki and Floki are now meaningless. Floki believes he lies and Loki thinks it has truth. So what are they doing? Of course, fighting each other. Their fight isn't that bad, but the problem is that if they always can fight like this, why didn't they do this before? I mean, the whole train fight in episode 3 in which they fought regular people, how could they lose? In the fight at some point they kiss, which is weird. Appleguy said they are the same, and I guess the parents are the same as well, so they are kind of relatives. And if you think about it, he is kissing the daughter of his parents. What does this sound like? It's also kind of unbelievable that Loki cares for the greater good, that he is kind of a hero role. She wins and kicks him back to the TVA. Floki kills the Apple guy and Loki talks to Mobius and Speedy, but they don't know who he is. I can imagine that they have to deal with an infinite number of him because of this theory that everything that could happen happened, and all the decisions which could happen will happen. So every decision they to make, from deciding to believe Appleguy to every decision they could do in fight. But this would also mean, if this is correct, that you have as well an infinite amount of Lokis and Flokis. From where do the branches which are new start from? Is it this event with Loki and Floki? Is it in the beginning of time? Or does it continue from the end of time? I don't understand why Mobius and Speedy don't remember Loki. I thought the TVA is outside of time, so they can deal with time things. Is there now more than one TVA, or got the TVA just changed because of time crap? And who is the he Speedy is talking about? Is it an Appleguy version? Conclusion time. Loki is not the same character as we had it in the Thor and Avenger movies. The writing is terrible, and most of the time everything seems to be uncreative and boring. And not just this, like the other Marvel Disney Plus shows, it doesn't respect its franchise and the past of its history. It is inconsistent on its own. The characters, and especially Loki, is only strong and capable if the plot wants it. And if not, he is a whining little clown who is afraid of his kid version. I like Floki. She has something sympathetic, and it makes kind of sense that she's better than Loki since she seems to be way older than him. But don't ask me how this works because even Odin had a point in which he died. So I don't know how this can work. And this is the next problem. A lot of things do not make sense if you start to think about it, like in episode 3, Loki and Floki are interacting with a few people on a shitty planet in a train. In the next episode, Floki touches Loki tender, and this starts a Nexus event. Why did not the interaction with the other people start a Nexus event? Why this touching? This doesn't get explained, and there are a few things like this. Or in episode 2, the sacred timeline gets bombed and they end it with a dramatic cliffhanger, but never talk again about this. We didn't see how they dealt with this problem, nor did we learn anything about this, or the aftermath. The acting is good, a few people are miscast like Speedy or Boss Judge. Speedy is a regular person but can fight a Loki and is even better than him. And the worst thing about the show is that you have so many times people talking, which is meaningless. Sitting and talking, running and talking, going and talking, so boring to watch. And I review Undone, and there is so much talking and it's so fascinating and interesting. I guess that shall be bonding, but all this human element seems to be artificial and forced. I think Loki is just a little bit better than WandaVision, and I wasn't a fan of that show either. So Phase 4 is at the moment not really fun to watch for me, which is sad because I love good superhero stuff and I wanna have fun with it. And this wasn't fun for me. I will review season 2 though. At least I plan it if it really will happen. So, this was my review of episode 6 with a conclusion part. What did you think about this episode and the season as a whole? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitter, you can find the link in the description box down below. Thank you for watching, have a nice one, you take care, see ya!